The deep silence of space stretched endlessly around the Coalition patrol fleet. Their ships glided through the darkness, smooth and elegant in design, like silver blades cutting across the stars. For the aliens who commanded this patrol, it was supposed to be an ordinary day. They were guardians of the Outer Rim, protectors of their people against smugglers, raiders, and the rare pirate vessel. Most days passed without incident, but on this day, something unexpected appeared on their long-range sensors. The detection officer, a young reptilian alien named Vanar, leaned closer to his console. A faint blip had appeared near the edge of restricted space. At first he thought it was a glitch. Then the blip grew stronger, clearer, as the object moved closer. Vanar's scaled hands shook slightly as he adjusted the scanning range. "Captain," he said softly, "an unknown vessel has entered our territory." The captain, an experienced officer with skin like dark polished stone, turned his gaze toward the screen. "Show me," he commanded. The image sharpened, and for the first time the patrol fleet saw the outline of the intruder. It was massive. Not graceful like their ships, not beautiful in form, but bulky, rough, and strange. Its surface was scarred, as if it had endured storms of fire. Jagged plating ran across its hull, giving it the appearance of an armored beast. Unlike the Coalition ships, which shone like crafted jewels, this vessel seemed almost alive, as if it had grown stronger with every wound. Whispers spread across the bridge. "What kind of design is that? Who builds something so ugly?" "Ugly, yes, but it looks dangerous." The captain raised one hand, silencing his crew. His eyes narrowed as he studied the vessel. "Bring us closer," he ordered. "Begin a full scan." The patrol ships shifted formation, surrounding the strange vessel like hunters circling prey. Energy beams reached out, invisible to the eye, probing the unknown craft. Information began to flow back, numbers, charts, readings, and what the sensors revealed made the bridge fall silent. The hull density was far beyond standard. Layer upon layer of metal wrapped around the ship, thicker than any warship the Coalition had ever seen. Instead of relying on advanced shielding alone, the builders had chosen raw strength, covering their vessel in a fortress of steel. "Impossible," Vanar whispered. "That much armor would make it too heavy to move. It should be slow, clumsy," yet the readings showed otherwise. The warship moved with surprising stability, its engines pushing it forward with quiet, steady power. The captain frowned. "Continue the scan." More results appeared. The ship carried weapons, many weapons. Heavy cannons, missile tubes, point defense arrays, energy batteries, more than any one ship should carry. And the strange thing was, the systems overlapped, as if built layer by layer over time. This was not the work of elegance, but of necessity. It was a warship designed to survive against endless enemies. The second officer, a tall insectoid creature, clicked his mandibles nervously. "This design is unnatural. Who would build such a monster?" The computer answered with a single word: human. For a moment, the entire bridge froze. The Coalition had heard of humans before, but only as whispers, rumors from distant traders and uncertain reports. They were said to be a young species, new to the stars, still learning the ways of the galaxy. Many dismissed them as primitive. Some claimed they were reckless explorers, rushing into space without caution. And yet here was proof, hard evidence that the humans were not only in space, but they had built a warship that made seasoned alien officers uneasy. The captain spoke slowly. "Are you certain of this identification?" "Yes, Captain," Vanar said, double-checking the readings. Human design confirmed. The crew exchanged uneasy glances. None of them had expected much from humans. Now they were staring at something they could not understand. The captain ordered the scan to deepen. They probed the inner structure, and once again the results were strange. The ship contained redundant systems, backups for engines, weapons, and life support. Even if half the ship were destroyed, it could still fight. Even if fire burned through its corridors, the vessel would remain alive. This ship, the insectoid officer murmured, was not built to retreat. It was built to endure. As the scan continued, one detail after another unsettled the aliens further. The engine output was higher than expected. The weapon systems overlapped in ways that suggested improvisation. Some parts of the ship seemed older, repaired or replaced by newer technology, while others were battle-scarred yet still functional. This vessel had seen combat before. It had been damaged, rebuilt, and sent back to war again and again. For the first time, unease spread through the crew. Coalition ships were works of art, designed to perfection and maintained with precision. They were replaced if damaged too severely. But this human ship, this warship, was a survivor. The captain leaned back in his chair, his stone-like face unreadable. His mind, however, was racing. He had fought many enemies before, but never had he seen such a design. To him it was not the sign of weakness, but of terrifying strength. These humans built ships not to shine, not to impress, but to fight until the very end. On the lower deck of the patrol vessel, young officers whispered among themselves. "If this is only one ship," one said, "what happens if there are fleets of them?" Another shuddered at the thought. The idea of countless human warships, each one a floating fortress, made their scales prickle with unease. Back on the bridge, the captain's gaze remained fixed on the screen. The human vessel continued to move forward, slow and steady, as if completely unbothered by the coalition fleet surrounding it. Its weapons were quiet, but their very presence seemed like a silent threat. Vaynar swallowed hard. "Captain, should we hail them?" The captain did not answer at once. His mind weighed the risks. To contact the humans might reveal weakness. To remain silent might seem hostile. But more than anything, he could not shake the strange feeling building in his chest. A feeling he had not experienced in many years of command. It was fear. The ship before him was not elegant, not advanced in the way his people valued, but it carried something far more dangerous. It carried the weight of survival. And in the silence of the bridge, he began to wonder what kind of species could create such a vessel. For the first time, he whispered the question that echoed in the minds of his crew. What kind of people are these? Humans? The unknown vessel drifted closer, its scarred hull glowing faintly in the starlight. Around it, the coalition fleet waited, nervous and unsure. And deep within every officer's heart, one truth became clear. This was no ordinary encounter. Something had just entered their galaxy that they were not prepared to face. The patrol fleet floated in tense silence. Across the bridge of the coalition command ship, the crew's eyes remained fixed on the strange human warship. Their scanning beams continued to probe deeper into the vessel, and the stream of data flowing back became heavier, stranger, and far more unsettling than anyone had expected. The detection officer Vaynar leaned over his console, claws clicking nervously against the controls as he read the numbers. "Captain," he said slowly, "the results are unusual." The captain, calm on the outside but uneasy inside, gave a single nod. "Explain." Vaynar hesitated, his scaled tail twitching behind him. "The hull density is extreme. We measured plating nearly 3 times thicker than any coalition warship of this size. It is reinforced with alloys that seem layered in crude but effective ways. If this ship were struck by standard plasma rounds, the damage would be far less than we expect." The bridge fell silent. Coalition ships relied heavily on shields. They trusted speed, technology, and precision to avoid taking damage at all. The idea of wrapping a ship in metal like an armored beast felt primitive to them, and yet seeing the sheer resilience in the scan, none of them could deny its effectiveness. The insectoid officer, Chirrut, clicked his mandibles. "They built their ship as if they expect to be hit, as if survival, not elegance, was their priority." The captain frowned. "Continue." Vaynar swallowed, turning to the next data set. "Weapon systems. Multiple layers. Far more than regulation allows in coalition space. I count heavy plasma cannons mounted along the sides, missile launchers embedded in forward compartments, railguns along the dorsal surface, and smaller point defense turrets everywhere. But the strange thing is this: their placement is irregular, not symmetrical. Some are old models, some are new, and some are clearly retrofitted after battle. It is as if this ship has been rebuilt again and again, each time adding more weapons wherever possible." Murmurs filled the bridge. Coalition warships were carefully designed, balanced in every aspect. The human ship looked like the opposite, chaotic, improvised, but also terrifying. It gave the impression that no matter where you attacked, some weapon would be waiting to strike back. The captain's voice was quiet, but heavy with meaning. "This ship is not a warship. It is a siege engine, built to break enemies or die trying." The word sent a chill through the crew. Chirrut tilted his head, listening to more data coming through. "Captain, power readings are unusual. Their reactor is smaller than ours, but its output is higher. The humans are pushing it beyond safe limits. That explains how they can move such a heavy ship. They are overdriving everything." Another officer, a pale avian creature with sharp feathers, added, "That is dangerous. No sane engineer would push a reactor that hard. It could explode under stress. Yet, the captain said softly, it has not. The implications were troubling. These humans seemed willing to risk destruction just for more power. And the frightening part was, they had succeeded. As the scans dug deeper, new layers of information appeared. The ship's systems were strange in another way, redundancy. Almost every critical system had backups. The engines were connected to auxiliary engines. Life support was backed by multiple reserves. Weapons had alternative power links. Even if half the ship were destroyed, the other half could still function. Captain, Vanar said, his voice trembling now. This ship, it is designed to keep fighting even when crippled. Chirrut added, Coalition vessels would never waste resources on this. We trust our shields. If shields fail, the ship is lost. But humans, they assume failure. They expect to take damage. They prepare for it. The captain looked at the screen, watching the scarred hull of the human warship drift calmly in space. He realized something unsettling. This ship was not the product of confidence. It was the product of fear of death, fear of defeat. But that fear had been turned into strength. He wondered what kind of world shaped such minds. The avian officer continued scanning. Captain, there are signs of repeated repairs. Sections of the hull do not match others. Some systems are outdated, others brand new. They salvage, they rebuild, they adapt. This is not the first time this vessel has been in combat. It has survived battles before. The word spread across the bridge like cold air. A warship that survived battle after battle was already rare. But a warship that came back stronger each time was something far more dangerous. The captain finally asked the question weighing on everyone's mind. Why build this way? Why carry so many weapons, so much armor, so many redundancies? Do humans fear destruction more than others? Vanar shook his head. No, Captain. I think it is the opposite. They accept destruction. They expect it. But they refuse to stop fighting no matter the cost. The crew exchanged uneasy glances. The idea was alien to them. Coalition fleets valued perfection and balance. They avoided unnecessary risks. But humans seemed to embrace risk, even destruction, as long as it meant survival and victory. Suddenly, another data set appeared. It was not mechanical, it was biological. The sensors had begun to read the life signs aboard the human ship. The bioscan made the aliens lean closer, curious and soon afraid. Chirrut clicked nervously. Their bodies. They can survive much harsher environments than ours. Temperature ranges are extreme. They can breathe thin atmospheres. Their bones are dense. Their muscles can endure strain. Even their minds. They remain stable under high stress levels that would break most of us. The avian officer whispered. They are not just building tough ships. They are tough themselves. The captain listened carefully. The crew's unease was becoming heavier with every detail. The humans were no longer the primitive species the Coalition had assumed. They were something else, something shaped by hardship, something that had turned survival into a way of life. As the scan ended, silence filled the bridge once more. Every officer looked at the image of the warship floating before them, scarred but strong, quiet but menacing. The captain's voice was calm, but his words carried weight. We thought humans were weak. We were wrong. They are not weak. They are dangerous, no one argued. No one dared. Outside, the human warship continued on its steady course, weapons silent, engines humming softly. It had not fired a single shot. It had not spoken a single word. And yet, an entire fleet of seasoned alien officers now sat in fear, simply from what their scanners had revealed. For the first time, the Coalition fleet understood a new truth. They were facing something they had never prepared for. And deep in their hearts, each of them wondered, if this is only one human warship, how many more are out there? The crew behind the steel, the alien patrol fleet, had seen enough of the human warship's structure to know it was something unusual. Its heavy hull, its countless weapons, and its strange overlapping systems had shaken them. Yet the most unsettling discovery had not even begun. For now, the scanners turned their attention inward, not to the ship, but to the living beings inside it. On the command deck, the detection officer Vanar adjusted his controls. His long fingers hovered nervously above the glowing screen as the bioscans reached through the hull. Slowly, one by one, life signs began to appear. Tiny signals at first, then clearer patterns, heartbeats, body temperatures, and chemical balances. The ship was alive with a crew of humans. Vanar swallowed. Captain, bioscans are active. Reading multiple human signatures aboard. The captain leaned forward in his chair, his stone-like face catching the pale glow of the data streams. A report. Tell us what they are. Vaynar hesitated, then began to read the results. Humans, their physiology is unusual. Body temperature is higher than most coalition species. Their bones are dense, far stronger than ours. Their muscles produce more energy than expected for their size. Their hearts pump faster, designed to endure sudden bursts of exertion. The insectoid officer Chirrut tapped his mandibles together. That would make them efficient in short battles. But not in long endurance tests. Vaynar shook his head. No, you misunderstand. Their lungs are large, their oxygen efficiency is extreme. They can endure long periods of strain as well. They are built not only for bursts but for endurance too. Their bodies are adaptable. A silence spread across the bridge. The avian officer tilted his head, feathers rustling uneasily. That is not balance. That is excess. How can one species excel in so many directions? The captain's gaze hardened. Continue. Vaynar shifted to the next data set. Humans can survive environments most of us cannot. Their bodies endure cold well below freezing. They also survive heat near boiling point. They resist radiation better than most. And they recover quickly from injuries. Their blood carries clotting agents that close wounds faster than our medicine allows. At that, even the captain's calm expression cracked for a moment. Quick recovery meant one thing in battle: soldiers who kept fighting even after being wounded. Chirrut muttered in a low, clicking voice. That is unnatural. It is as if they were shaped by endless struggle. The captain did not disagree. The bioscans moved deeper, showing not only physical traits but behavior. Small signals told stories of movement and posture. The humans aboard the warship were calm. Some walked between compartments with steady rhythm. Others monitored their own consoles. A few appeared to be resting, sleeping even, though their vessel was surrounded by alien warships. The avian officer spoke in disbelief. They know we are here. They know we are scanning them, and yet they show no panic, no fear. They are calm. That detail shook the crew more than armor or weapons. Fear was natural when cornered by an enemy fleet. Yet these humans, so new to the galaxy, seemed almost relaxed. The captain's voice was heavy. That calm is not ignorance. It is confidence, Vaynar nodded reluctantly. Yes, Captain. They behave as though this situation is normal. As though being outnumbered is not unusual for them. The alien officers shared nervous glances. Coalition fleets were trained to hold formation, to stay composed under pressure, but even they would feel unease at such odds. Yet these humans, trapped and surrounded, seemed unshaken. Chirrut broke the silence. Captain, I do not understand. How can such a species remain steady in the face of destruction? The captain's gaze never left the screen. Because for them, destruction is not an end. It is only another battle. The bioscans continued. More data emerged, this time about the human mind. Heart rates spiked during stress but quickly returned to calm levels. Their brain patterns showed flexibility, quick decision-making, and strong responses to danger. Most striking of all was the emotional reading. Instead of despair, humans produced higher levels of determination when threatened. The avian officer's feathers trembled. They do not fear danger. They grow stronger from it. At those words, the crew shifted uneasily. That was something no coalition soldier was trained to face, an enemy who fought harder the more desperate the battle became. The captain spoke again, his deep voice echoing in the silent bridge. Now we see the truth. The ship is only an extension of them. Hard, scarred, unyielding, it reflects their nature. They are not careful like us. They are not elegant like us. They are survivors. The word carried weight. Survivors were not to be underestimated. Survivors did not break easily. Vaynar looked down at his screen, his scales cold. Captain, I rate stress in some of the crew. But it is not weakness. It is controlled. They transform stress into action. Into focus. Chirrut clicked nervously. That means even their fear is a weapon. The bridge went quiet again. The thought settled like a shadow over them all. For a long time, no one spoke. Only the hum of systems filled the command deck. Finally, the avian officer whispered, If this is what one crew is like, what will happen when humanity sends entire fleets? What will we face then? The question hung heavy, unanswered. The captain rose slowly from his chair, his tall frame casting a shadow across the deck. He looked at the image of the human warship, scarred yet strong, surrounded yet calm. His voice was deep and steady. "We underestimated them. We thought them primitive, careless explorers. But I see now. Every scar on their hull, every weapon bolted to their ship, every heartbeat in their chests tells the same story. They are a species forged in fire, and when fire comes again, they will not run. They will fight." No one dared to argue. Beyond the bridge, the human warship continued to drift calmly. Inside it, the crew lived their ordinary lives, unaware of the fear they were spreading across the alien fleet. Or perhaps they knew, and simply did not care. For the Coalition officers, one truth was now clear. The galaxy had always believed strength came from technology, elegance, and order. But humans had shown them something different. Strength could also come from struggle, from hardship, from the unyielding refusal to give up. The crew behind the steel were proof of that truth. And as the Coalition fleet continued its silent watch, every alien officer began to wonder, had they just witnessed the arrival of the most dangerous species the galaxy would ever know? The alien fleet drifted in uneasy silence. Their sensors had revealed the full extent of the human warship's strength and the remarkable endurance of its crew. And yet, despite the overwhelming evidence before them, the captain of the Coalition command ship could not shake a deeper unease that had settled in his mind. Something about these humans felt older, wiser, sharper than mere numbers or machines could explain. He turned to the elder officer, a seasoned diplomat and historian named Therix, whose gray scales had seen centuries of warfare and treaties. Therix had served in countless conflicts, witnessed the rise and fall of species, and understood the patterns of galactic civilizations. If anyone could explain the human enigma, it was him. "Therix," the captain said quietly, "what do we know of humanity beyond these ships, beyond these scans?" The elder leaned on his staff, his eyes reflecting the starlight. "Very little," he admitted, voice low. "Most of what we know comes from traders, explorers, and fragmented records. Humanity is a young species new to the stars, yet even in their short history, they have left marks that rival the oldest civilizations. Their homeworld is filled with strife, wars, hardships, natural disasters. Unlike other species, they do not hide from adversity. They endure it, adapt to it, and emerge stronger each time." Vaynar, the young detection officer, frowned. "So you are saying their strength comes from suffering?" Therix nodded. "Exactly. Their history is written in survival. Unlike our fleets, which rely on technology and organization, humans rely on adaptability, courage, and relentless determination. Each generation of humans has been tested by its environment. Each generation has faced enemies, disease, and scarcity, and yet they survive and thrive." The captain listened carefully, recalling what they had just learned about the ship and its crew. Every weapon, every layer of armor, every redundant system made sense now. This was not mere engineering. It was the expression of a philosophy. Humans prepared not to be perfect. They prepared to survive no matter the cost. Chirrut, the insectoid officer, clicked his mandibles nervously. "That explains the ship. But it does not explain their confidence. Why are they not afraid even now, surrounded by our fleet?" Therix's eyes darkened. "Because fear does not guide them. Humans have known fear from the day they are born. Their ancestors survived floods, fires, wars, and famine. They understand danger, yet they do not allow it to control them. They use it. They turn it into strategy, into action, into endurance. In their minds, danger is not a reason to flee. It is a reason to grow stronger." The captain felt a chill run through him. He had commanded fleets for decades, faced countless enemies, yet he had never considered the possibility that an enemy could thrive under pressure, could grow stronger when threatened. The very concept challenged everything the Coalition believed about warfare. Therix continued. "There are stories, some true, some exaggerated, of human heroes. They speak of individuals and groups who faced impossible odds and emerged victorious. Whole cities destroyed, yet humans rebuilt. Entire armies defeated, yet they returned to fight again. These are not isolated incidents. They are patterns. Their entire species has been forged by struggle." Vaynar's scales prickled as he digested the information. "So the legends are true. Humans do not surrender. They do not retreat. They continue no matter what." "Exactly," Therix said, "and their ships are a reflection of that history. Scarred, repaired, upgraded repeatedly. A warship is not just a vessel. It is an extension of the crew, an extension of their will to survive." That is why your scans reveal redundancies, layered systems, and improvised weaponry. It is the human way. Expect damage, plan for it, and keep fighting. Chirrut clicked again, faster this time. But we are the dominant coalition. We have advanced fleets, precise weapons, and centuries of training. How can one young species, pose a threat? Tharix's gaze was sharp. Because you misunderstand. Dominance is not only about technology. It is about adaptation, resilience, and determination. Humans possess all three in abundance. Even if our weapons are superior, if we underestimate them, we will fail. One human warship, crewed by confident, adaptive humans, can survive engagements that would destroy fleets of other species. That is their strength. That is why this encounter is dangerous. The captain leaned back in his chair, heavy with thought. The quiet hum of the command ship seemed louder now, echoing the tension in the fleet. So we face not just a vessel, but a species that refuses to be conquered. Tharix nodded gravely. Yes, and that is why you feel unease. You sense their weight, their history, their potential. One ship is frightening. A fleet would be catastrophic. And yet they are only beginning to emerge in this galaxy. Feynar's voice was small, almost a whisper. Captain, I am beginning to understand their resilience. It is not just physical. It is cultural, psychological, even historical. They survive because survival is part of their identity. Correct, Tharix said. Every human carries the weight of their ancestors. Every choice, every action, every repair, every weapon on that ship is guided by that legacy. They do not simply react to danger, they anticipate it. They learn from it. And they adapt faster than any species I have ever studied. The captain's gaze returned to the human warship. Its scarred hull floated silently, seemingly ordinary to the untrained eye. Yet every dent, every weapon mount, every unusual angle told the story of a species unwilling to surrender. He felt something unfamiliar. Respect, yes, but also a rising fear that had nothing to do with lasers or plasma. The avian officer's voice trembled. Captain, if these humans continue to spread through the galaxy, if they build more ships like this, what hope do we have? Tharix's eyes darkened with centuries of wisdom. Hope lies in understanding, not in underestimating. They will surprise every species that believes it knows the rules of warfare. And you, Captain, are witnessing the beginning of a species that will redefine the rules themselves. The fleet remained quiet, every officer lost in thought. The human ship had not fired a shot. It had not spoken a word. And yet, the weight of its presence combined with the history of its people filled the coalition officers with a deep, unfamiliar tension. Feynar shook his head slowly. I thought I understood warfare. I thought I understood strategy. But humans, they make every rule I know meaningless. Chirrut clicked rapidly, almost panicked. We cannot fight them the way we fight others. They are unpredictable. They thrive on adversity, on danger. They learn from every encounter. The captain's voice cut through the murmurs, calm but firm. That is why we must be careful. One human ship may not defeat us all, but we must never underestimate the resolve of its crew, nor the strength of its history. We must approach this with caution, intelligence, and respect for what they are. Tharix nodded. Remember this, Captain. Humanity does not fight like any other species. They endure, they adapt, they survive, and one day the galaxy will learn to respect them, or fear them, perhaps both. Outside the command ship, the human warship continued its slow, steady drift through the void. It did not appear threatening at first glance. Yet every detail, the scars, the weapons, the crew calmly monitoring their stations, reflected a deeper truth. Humanity's history was etched into their vessel. Their strength was not just in steel and weapons or in shields. It was in their spirit, their culture, and their relentless drive to survive. The captain turned to his crew one last time. We are witnessing the weight of history. Do not forget it. One day we may be forced to face it fully. And when that day comes, we will remember the lesson we have learned here. Humans are not just another species. They are a force shaped by struggle, endurance, and unyielding will. Never underestimate them. A quiet fear settled over the bridge, deeper than any before. The fleet had seen weapons, hulls, and engines that could destroy worlds. Yet the most terrifying discovery was not the human ship itself. It was the species behind it. Their history, their resilience, their capacity to endure, adapt, and thrive under impossible circumstances made them unlike any enemy the galaxy had faced before. For the first time, the Coalition fleet understood a simple, terrifying truth. They were in the presence of a species that had already survived countless trials, a species whose strength could not be measured merely by technology or numbers. One human ship was frightening. One human crew was frightening, and the weight of their history made the galaxy itself pause. The alien fleet drifted in the dark, quiet emptiness of space, still surrounding the human warship. Days of scanning and analysis had passed, and yet the humans remained calm, almost serene. There had been no communication from the intruders, no sign of aggression, no movement beyond routine operations inside their ship. Yet the weight of their presence pressed down on the Coalition officers as if the vessel itself radiated quiet power. On the bridge of the command ship, Vayner leaned forward, scales slightly slick with nervous sweat. "Captain," he whispered, "they remain calm. Even as we hold them in our sights, their crew does not appear alarmed. It is unsettling." The captain, dark eyes fixed on the glowing image of the human warship, nodded slowly. "Yes, that is what makes them dangerous. Calm in the face of danger is the hallmark of those who are prepared for it. And these humans, they are prepared for everything." Chirruk, the insectoid officer, clicked his mandibles with growing anxiety. "They do not even seem to notice our fleet. Or they choose not to notice. Either option is frightening." "Perhaps both," the captain replied. "Their silence is a strategy. Their calm is a weapon." Vayner turned back to the console, scanning the biosigns once more. The humans moved in precise, purposeful ways. They were not hurried or frantic. Each step, each motion, each glance across their controls spoke of confidence. Confidence not born from ignorance, but from experience, endurance, and sheer willpower. The elder officer, Tharix, who had guided the fleet through centuries of history and diplomacy, spoke quietly, his voice trembling with a mixture of respect and fear. "I have seen many species rise and fall, Captain, but I have never encountered one like this. One ship crewed by humans is enough to make seasoned officers question their strategies, and the galaxy is full of them." Vaynar's claws hovered nervously over the controls. "Do we dare engage them?" The captain shook his head. "Not yet. We do not know their capabilities fully. And based on what we have seen, even one misstep could cost us everything." The bridge fell silent again. All around them the fleet waited, every officer tense. Outside, the human warship glided through space at a steady pace. Its hull, scarred and bristling with weapons, seemed ordinary at first glance, yet every alien officer aboard the command ship understood now that it was anything but ordinary. Tharix leaned closer to the captain. "Captain, if we make the first move, if we attack, we may awaken the true power of these humans. One ship may seem manageable, but humans fight differently. They adapt quickly. They learn from failure, and once provoked, they may respond in ways we cannot predict." The captain's jaw tightened. "Then we wait. We observe. And we learn without provoking them. Let them reveal what they wish." Vayner shivered. "I never thought I would feel fear staring at a single ship." "Fear," Tharix said, "is not weakness. It is recognition. Recognition that the galaxy may not belong entirely to us, that another species has emerged, stronger than any we anticipated." The human warship remained quiet. Its engines hummed, its weapons sat idle, yet the air seemed charged. Even the veteran Coalition officers could feel it. A tension in the void that suggested power waiting, restrained and deliberate. Suddenly, a transmission flickered onto the alien fleet's communication grid. It was brief, simple, and polite, yet its meaning cut deep into every officer's mind. Recommendation. "Stand down," the human voice said, calm, firm, and measured, with no hint of threat, yet impossible to ignore. The bridge froze. Vayner stared at the console, unable to move. Chirruk's mandibles clicked rapidly in disbelief. Tharix closed his eyes, shaking his head slowly. Even the captain felt a chill that went beyond logic. The message was not aggressive, yet it carried the weight of command, confidence, and warning all at once. The captain broke the silence, voice low and measured. "Do you understand what that means?" Vayner swallowed. They are commanding us, without firing a shot, without moving a weapon. Yet we feel compelled to obey." Tharix nodded gravely. "That is the essence of humanity. They do not need to threaten. Their presence alone communicates power. Their confidence instills caution. And their history, their survival, makes every word carry the weight of experience. One day this will define their place in the galaxy. The fleet remained motionless, hesitant. Every officer understood the unspoken truth. Humans were not just another species to be measured in numbers or technology. They were a force built from centuries of struggle, adaptation, and perseverance. To challenge them carelessly was to risk disaster. Baynar's voice was barely audible. "Captain, I feel it in my scales. Fear. Not for my life alone, but for our fleet, our strategy, our understanding. One human ship, it has shown us what we are not ready for." The captain's eyes never left the human vessel. Yes, this is only the beginning. And the galaxy has not yet seen their full potential. We are witnessing the emergence of a species that may change everything. They are disciplined, resilient, and unafraid. And one thing is certain, they will not be underestimated again. Chirrut clicked, a sound almost like despair. We have studied countless enemies. We have fought wars that spanned entire star systems. But these humans, they are unlike anything we have faced. I do not know how to fight them. Not yet, not at this stage. Tharix's voice was calm but heavy with warning. That is precisely the point, Chirrut. One human ship is a warning. One crew is a demonstration. The galaxy may underestimate them, but we cannot. Observe them carefully. Learn from them. And remember, the moment you underestimate a human, you have already lost. Baynar looked out at the ship, observing the calm motions of its crew through the scanners. They moved with efficiency, with purpose, with quiet confidence. Even though they were surrounded by a superior force, they did not panic. Their behavior reflected their history, hardship, struggle, and the unbroken will to survive. The captain finally spoke, voice steady but carrying immense weight. "Prepare a full report. Document everything we have learned. This encounter may be a turning point. One human ship has already shaken us. One crew has made us question everything we know. We must never forget this lesson. And we must prepare for the day humanity spreads across the galaxy." The fleet remained in formation, silent, while the human warship continued its slow, steady course. Outside, the stars stretched endlessly, indifferent to the tension below. And yet, for the first time in generations, an entire alien fleet understood what it meant to feel real fear, not from weapons or explosions, but from the undeniable presence of a species that refused to be conquered. The human crew went about its tasks, unaware of the unease they had caused. They did not need to fire a weapon. They did not need to communicate beyond a single calm message. Their mere existence, their confidence, and their resilience were enough. In the command ship, the captain looked to his officers, each of whom carried the same quiet understanding. The galaxy had changed. Humans were here. And one day the galaxy would remember the moment it truly understood who humans were, and why they could not be underestimated. The patrol fleet, once confident, now moved slowly, cautiously, unable to ignore the lesson learned from a single ship, a single crew, a single species that had already proven its strength through endurance, intelligence, and unyielding will. And in that silence, among the stars, the humans floated steadily, calm, prepared, and unafraid, an embodiment of resilience, of survival, and of the quiet power that had now made the galaxy pause. The aliens realized the truth. The humans had arrived. The galaxy was unprepared, and for the first time fear was justified.